From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on your MTN statewide news on this Wednesday. I'm Andrea Lutz. There's new details about a house fire that claimed the life of a person in Great Falls. Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter identified the victim as 58-year-old Gary Lewis Brockway. Firefighters responded to the home on Lower River Road around 8 a.m. The house was fully engulfed. And firefighters found the body of Brockway inside. A cat also died in that fire.
I think at first part of me was in denial because I really hoped he wasn't inside the house. But when it really hit me, I think I was more worried about comforting our other friends and stuff before I could, fully feel the effect of it myself.
All right, an autopsy has ruled this death as accidental, with smoke inhalation being a main concern and cause of that death. A coroner's inquest into the shooting involving a Granite County Sheriff's deputy determined 48-year-old Missoula man did not die by criminal means. Well, according to the Granite County Sheriff's deputy, Scott Dunkerson, the jury found that Salvatore Frisca Jr. was not shot by Deputy Thaddeus Smith. The shooting occurred on April 16th after dispatch received a report of a suspect using his vehicle to ram other vehicles at the Sunshine Station on Highway 1. Smith then fired his weapon to stop Frisca. New today on the COVID front, Montana's cases have increased to about 757, a spike from over the past several weeks. 7 more deaths are now reported at this hour across the state. A total number of cases now sitting at 81,000, with 986 deaths due to COVID-19. Governor Steve Bullock releasing an updated COVID-19 vaccination distribution plan. So here's how it's going to work. Beginning in mid-January through March, vaccinations will be available for anyone 75 years and older. Again, those frontline essential workers and Native Americans. Starting mid-March through July, vaccinations will be for 65 years and older and ages 16 to 64 at high risk due to medical conditions. And that final phase is expected to launch in late spring or early summer. Now that is for all Montanans ages 16 and older. Implementation of the plan is contingent, though, on the vaccine availability. Western Montana's rural hospitals and health departments started distributing the MODERNA vaccine. Ravalli County Health Department received about 100 doses just last week, and they've started to administer them already. And since Marcus Daly received 400 doses, that meant obviously for those frontline healthcare workers, the health department is vaccinating its first responders too. Meanwhile, St. Joseph Medical Center, that's in Polson, received 200 doses in total. 82 caregivers were vaccinated on the first day, something officials say is creating some hope. Well, there could soon be a COVID vaccine that doesn't involve needles. Researchers in Iowa are working on one that you can sniff. They say that it could be more effective than the vaccines rolling out now. The vaccine would only require 1 dose and it would not need to be refrigerated. That means it could be put on a shelf and still work a year later. Researchers estimate the nano vaccine is about a year and a half away. Later this week, you'll start seeing healthcare prices up front when it comes to tests and procedures. A federal judge has ruled for the change proposed by President Donald Trump. Hospitals must disclose online their privately negotiated prices between commercial health insurers, and this should help reduce the number of surprise medical bills that people often receive. It will cover 300 services, including MRIs, C-sections, knee replacements, and the change is scheduled to take effect on New Year's Day. Well, it is official. We now know the location of that $1 million Montana lottery winner, something we all have been waiting for. That very lucky person bought their ticket at Town Pump number 8. Well, the other lottery winners taking home $250,000, one from Columbia Falls, one $100,000 winner from Billings, and one from Laurel. $15 billion is included in that latest relief bill that's set aside to try and save the entertainment industry. Packed concerts and distant memory, obviously, for a lot of us at this point. But Sean Lynch with the pub station in Billings predicts that music fans won't be able to experience a full show until 2022. And that's to keep businesses afloat through the year. Congress adding the Save Our Stages grant into the $900 billion legislation, and venue owners will be able to apply for the aid. Lynch says it was done with the help of persistent Montanans.
Both of our senators, Senator Daines and Tester, were some of the earliest co-sponsors of this bill. Both have been just extremely engaged in this process, and I couldn't be happier to be a Montanan, honestly.
Bringing the movie industry to a standstill, as you probably know, in 2020, movie theaters closed. Studios held back new releases until fans could return. With the coronavirus vaccines rolling out, though, movie studios find themselves with more blockbusters than usual waiting now for release. The CEO of IMAX says blockbusters like the new Top Gun movie and another installment of the Fast and Furious franchise could make 2021 a record-setting year. Hikers in the Flathead Valley are encouraged to hit the trails at local state parks for a new friendly New Year's competition. It's starting on Friday. MTN's Sean Wells explains how hikers can properly log miles for the Battle of the Boots.
Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks is organizing a friendly competition in the Flathead Valley to encourage a healthy start to the new year. Hikers are encouraged to log their miles for the entire month of January at Lone Pine State Park in Kalispell or Wayfarers West Shore and Big Arm State Park on Flathead Lake. Fish, Wildlife and Parks spokesman Dylan Tabish says the individual hikers with the most miles at each park will receive a prize.
Just a fun way to get folks out enjoying their state parks and supporting their favorite park too.
Tabish says clipboards will be available at each park's trailhead for hikers to log down miles. He says hikers are encouraged to track miles using a smartphone application or referencing the signage at each park's trailhead.
You know, there's not going to be anything super official here where we're wanting it down to the decimal point, but if folks just kind of keep track of, we just did 2.5 miles here and write their name and number down, it'll just be a fun way to kind of keep track of those miles.
Tabish says the Battle of the Boots replaces the annual first day hikes, which were canceled this year due to COVID-19 restrictions. He says hikers should still be COVID-19 aware if they decide to log miles for the competition.
If you do come up on a park trail that is crowded, we'd ask you to maybe come back later or try a different trail because we don't want to increase crowds on these trails as well. We still want to maintain our social distancing and keeping this to be a fun, safe activity.
Lone Pine State Park here in Kalispell offers 7.5 miles of trails for those looking to get a head start on Friday. In Kalispell, Sean Wells, MTN News.
The winners of the Battle of the Boots competition will be announced on social media and contacted directly. Good luck. Many of us are ready to say goodbye to 2020, but in true 2020 fashion, it's going to look a lot different. Some of the biggest New Year's Eve celebrations will be strictly for TV and streaming this year, including the ball drop in Times Square, the fireworks show in Sydney Harbor, and in Las Vegas, fireworks canceled on the city strip. However, many people say they're happy to watch from home and thankful that they've made it another year. A Butte man restored a piece of mining history that came from a long-gone Columbia Gardens amusement park. This is a 1906 roller coaster car. It was restored and put on display in the spirit of the Columbia Gardens carousel at Stoddard Park. Henry Hillsip acquired the time-worn car 2 years ago, then restored it to mint condition, and he says it is a significant part of Butte history. It sure is. The Columbia Gardens closed down in 1973 after decades of operation in Butte, if you remember. We do have more ahead on the new news, including how animals are helping with facial recognition and research. But we're going to have Miller. He's going to be in with your statewide weather forecast. We'll be right back.